Hey YouTube, Omar here, bringing you my first video in a while. Wanted to talk about mostly the New York Mets, how we're doing lately, what's going on with our team, and a little bit about the NBA playoffs and a very small amount about the NHL playoffs. So let's start with the Mets. And we'll start with the first game I went to this season. So the first game I went to this season was the Mets' 18th game of the year. I had really good seats. We lost in a game that I felt only went 8 innings because there seemed to be a mysterious loss of an inning. The point is that we lost the game 4-3 on some sloppy fundamentals such as bunting and stuff. And at that time, the Mets looked like they had absolutely no chance of being at least a 500 team. They dropped to 5-13 after that loss. Now it's hard to believe that they've played more games since then they'd played before then, because it hasn't seemed like that long. The end of my 8th grade school year, which is my senior year in middle school, is flying by. So that's also a good thing and a bad thing. But the point is that 22 games later, they're 14-8 in those 22 games, which pull out a calculator here. 14 divided by 22. So that's a 636 win percentage, which is well over 500. And we are sitting at 19-21 through our first 40 games, and are looking to start our 41st game in about 2 minutes of rain delay here in New York. If you didn't know, if you don't live in New York, or you just want to know, let me change over to the Mets game. I was watching the Yankee game actually because the Mets game's been delayed. But anyway, it's supposed to rain all week here in New York, which is a bummer, and we'll probably get a couple rain outs. But you know what? What can you do? So we're playing our 41st game tonight against Josh Johnson and the Florida Marlins. I might make a video tomorrow. I might not. Probably not. Maybe a video after the 2-game series. We have 2 against the Marlins at home, 2 against the Nationals at home, and then we go to Yankee Stadium for 3 games. But the main issue with the Mets so far, it's not all good. That 14-8 record in the last 22 games isn't all good. The trainers. I've just about had it with the injuries that the Mets suffer. And don't tell me that it's just our string of luck, because it's ridiculous now. It's ridiculous that our list of players, and it only seems to be the good players. Henry Mejia, star prospect, out for the year. Chris Young, pitcher that was consistently getting good starts for us, out for the year. Ike Davis, in a small collision, didn't even look like it was that bad, sprains his ankle, he's on the DL. Today we find out David Wright has a stress fracture in his back, which is, I guess, a little bit a misfortune, kind of unlucky, but still, something has to be done. These players need to be in better shape. This is not good for our whole team to be getting hurt. 2 years ago in 2008, or no, that'd be 2009. Yeah, it was 2009. 2 years ago in 2009, the Mets had all 25 players on their starting 25-man roster for the season on the DL at some point in the year. The only team in the MLB to have that happen to them. It's not all just coincidences. We need a better training staff. Obviously, these guys do not know how to keep our players in shape, and something has to be done about it so that our players are not getting hurt and taking trips to the DL when we are just kicking into gear and we really need them. And I'm going to start talking a little bit about the NHL and NBA playoffs, because the Mets game is just starting now, or has started, can't really tell. And just want to watch that game. Sorry about that little pause. I was reading a headline on ESPN.com about the stress fracture. And Day writes back, "Thank you very much, trainers." So, NBA playoffs. I was rooting for the Grizzlies. The Cinderella story kind of had to pull for them, even though I kind of like the Thunder, because my family, some of them are Supersonics fans, and of course that would be Oklahoma City Thunder these days. But anyway, Oklahoma City crushed Memphis in Game 7, moving on to play Dallas Tuesday at 9 o'clock in Game 1 in Dallas. Last night was Chicago-Miami Game 1. Derrick Rose took over. LeBron James continued to not show himself in important games. Game 1, at least, and the next game, Chicago took Game 1, and Game 2 is going to be Wednesday night at 8:30. And as for the NHL, Tampa Bay is up on Boston 1-0 with Game 2 tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And Vancouver took Game 1 over San Jose despite trailing 2-1 at a point in the game. And Game 2 will be played Wednesday at 9 o'clock. That's all I have to say for today's edition of Washington Sooners Sports Talk from Omar, and I'll see you later.